Chapter 1. The beginning of the challenge. I looked at the calendar on my wall. It was the first day of the month. I will do it, I whispered to myself. For many months, I wanted to speak English well. I watched others talk confidently, but I always stayed quiet. I felt nervous, shy, and scared of making mistakes. But today was different. I was ready to change. This time, I will not stop, I said aloud. My name is Amina, and I'm 22 years old. I live in a small town, and I go to college. I study hard, but English speaking was always difficult for me. That morning, I sat with my notebook and pen. I wrote big words at the top. My 30-day English challenge. I plan to practice speaking English every day for 1 month. I wanted to do small tasks daily. I wanted to speak without fear. I wanted to feel proud of myself. I made a list of simple things: talk to myself, record my voice, read out loud, watch English videos, repeat sentences, and speak in front of a mirror. It sounded easy, but I knew it would not be. My younger brother Ollie saw me writing. He asked, "What are you doing?" I smiled and said, "I'm starting a challenge to speak better English." He laughed and said, "You always start, but then stop." I didn't like his words, but he was right. I had started many times before and gave up, but not this time. I took a deep breath and looked him in the eyes. "You'll see, Ali. I will finish this challenge." I went to my room and sat in front of my mirror. I looked at myself and said, "Hello, my name is Amina. I am learning English." I felt strange. My voice sounded funny. I laughed a little, then I tried again. "I like English. I want to speak better. I will try every day." My voice shook, but I did it. I felt proud. I recorded my voice on my phone and listened. I heard my mistakes, but I also heard courage. That night, I wrote in my journal, Day 1. I spoke in English. I felt scared, but I did it. The next day, I woke up early. I read a small English story out loud. I stopped many times to look up words. Performance, I said slowly. I repeated it again and again. I smiled when I said it right. Then I repeated full sentences. I started to enjoy it. "This is fun," I said. I remembered what my English teacher said once. "Practice every day, even for 10 minutes. It makes a big difference." I believed her now. That evening, I went outside for a walk. I saw a little girl playing. I smiled and said in English, "What is your name?" She looked confused. I laughed and said, "It's okay." I walked away a little embarrassed, but I also felt brave. I had tried. I had spoken English to a real person. Even if she didn't understand, I knew I was moving forward. On day 3, I tried shadowing. I watched a short video on YouTube and repeated the speaker's words after her. "I'm going to the market," the woman said. I repeated, "I'm going to the market." I liked how she spoke. Her words were clear, her voice was confident. I wanted to sound like her. I practiced again and again. I didn't care if someone heard me. I only cared about getting better. Later, I shared my plan with my best friend, Hira. I'm doing a 30-day English speaking challenge, I told her. She looked surprised. Really? That's great. Can I join you? My heart felt warm. Yes, of course, I said. That evening, we sat together and practiced. We spoke about our day only in English. We laughed at our mistakes and helped each other. It felt good to speak without fear. One night, I stood in front of the mirror again. I am not perfect, I said, but I am improving. I am trying. My eyes became wet. I felt emotional. I thought about the days when I cried after failing to speak in class. I remembered the times I stayed silent in group talks, but now I was speaking. Even if I was slow, even if I made mistakes, I was speaking. I continued my daily tasks. On day 6, I joined an online English speaking group. I was very nervous. My hands shook when it was my turn. Hello, my name is Amina. I am from Pakistan. I love learning English, I said. My voice was soft, but I spoke. The group leader smiled and said, Welcome, Amina. We're happy you're here. Everyone clapped. I felt so proud. I didn't understand everything they said, but I listened. I stayed in the group for 15 minutes. It was hard, but I didn't leave. Each day brought new feelings: fear, joy, stress, and courage. On some days, I wanted to stop. I thought, maybe I'm not good enough. But then I remembered my first sentence. This time, I will not stop. That sentence gave me power. I wrote small words on sticky notes and put them on my wall. You can do it. Don't give up. Practice makes progress. I read them every morning. By day 10, I could feel the change. I started thinking in English. I started dreaming in English. I felt different. I felt confident. One day, my brother Ali came to me and said, Your English is better. I smiled and said, Thank you. I'm trying. He didn't laugh this time. The first 10 days of my challenge were over. I looked at my journal. I had written something every night. Day 1, I spoke in front of the mirror. Day 3, I shadowed a video. Day 6, I joined an online group. Every page showed my journey. Every line showed my effort. Now I was ready for the next part of my challenge. I still had 20 more days. I didn't know what they would bring, but I knew I was not the same girl who stayed silent. I was Amina, and I was becoming stronger every day. With a smile, I closed my journal and whispered, Let's continue. Chapter 2, Finding My Voice. I opened my journal and turned to a fresh page. At the top, I wrote in neat letters, Day 11. It felt good to start a new part of my journey. The first 10 days had been exciting, but also a little scary. I had faced my fear of speaking English, but I still had a long way to go. I told myself, this is not the time to slow down. This is the time to grow stronger. I remembered something my teacher once said. Fluency comes when you stop thinking about mistakes and start enjoying the language. I wasn't there yet, but I was getting closer. That morning, I made a cup of tea and sat near the window. The sun was bright. I looked at the trees and thought, what can I do today? Then I had an idea. I will start speaking English while doing daily things, I whispered. So while brushing my hair, I said, I am brushing my hair. While making breakfast, I said, now I am putting butter on the bread. It felt strange at first, like I was talking to myself, but it helped me stay in English all day. When I got to college, I saw Hira waiting for me. Hey, English girl, she said with a smile. I laughed. I'm trying, I replied. We walked to class and spoke only in English. It was not perfect, but we were helping each other. Hira said, my grammar is bad. I said, so what? Mine too. We both laughed. That day in class, we sat together and wrote down 5 new words from our English book. Improve, effort, journey, practice, and success. I liked the word journey. I felt like I was on one. Later that evening, I watched a video of a woman giving a speech in English. Her words were simple, but her voice was strong. She said, don't be afraid. You are more powerful than you think. I paused the video and repeated her words. I said them slowly, then loudly. I wanted to believe them. I stood in front of my mirror again. Don't be afraid, I said. You are more powerful than you think. I smiled at myself. My voice sounded stronger now. On day 12, I recorded a small story on my phone. I talked about my morning. Today, I woke up at 7 a.m. I brushed my teeth. I made tea. I studied English for 30 minutes. I listened to the recording. My accent was still strong and some words were not clear, but I didn't feel upset. I felt proud. This is me, I thought. This is my voice, and it's getting better. Allie came into my room. He heard the recording. You sound different, he said. I looked at him. Different good or different bad? He smiled. Different better, he said. My heart felt warm. His small words meant a lot to me. On day 13, I tried something new. I called the customer service number for my mobile company. I had a real question, but I also wanted to practice English. Hello, I said when the agent answered. I have a question about my mobile data. My voice was shaky, but I didn't stop. The woman was kind. She spoke slowly and helped me. At the end, I said, thank you so much. Your help means a lot. I hung up the phone and danced a little. I had just spoken English with a stranger, and it was fine. The next day, I had to give a short talk in class. Our teacher asked everyone to speak for 1 minute about their favorite hobby. My heart beat fast. I'll talk about English learning, I decided. When it was my turn, I stood up and said, my name is Amina. I like learning English. I practice every day. I speak to myself. I read out loud. I watch videos and repeat. I paused, then said, English helps me feel strong. The class clapped. I sat down, shaking but smiling. After class, one girl came to me and said, your English is improving. How are you doing it? I said, I speak a little every day. Just 10 or 15 minutes, that's all. She said, maybe I'll try too. I felt happy. Maybe my journey could help others too. By day 15, I had built many small habits. I started speaking in English while walking alone. I described things I saw. The sky is blue. There is a man riding a bike. I also tried thinking in English. It was hard. My brain wanted to use my native language, but I kept bringing it back. Think in English, I reminded myself. It doesn't need to be perfect. Day 16 was a bad day. I had a headache. I didn't want to speak or practice. I felt low. But I opened my journal and read my past entries. I saw how far I had come. You can rest, I told myself, but don't quit. So I watched a short English cartoon and repeated one sentence. It's okay to take small steps, I whispered. The next day I felt better. I started watching a series in English with subtitles. I chose something easy, a children's show. The characters spoke clearly, and I understood most of the words. I repeated their lines. I had learned how to say common sentences. Are you okay? That's a good idea. Let's do it. These small phrases felt powerful in my mouth. By day 18, I noticed something amazing. I was starting to reply in English automatically. When Ollie asked, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm reading." I didn't even think about it. The English just came. I smiled. This is progress, I thought. I also started learning English songs. I picked a slow song and wrote the lyrics in my notebook. I sang along and looked up difficult words. Music made me feel connected to the language in a fun way. I shared the song with Hira, and we both sang it during a study break. We laughed at our funny voices but kept singing. Day 20 arrived. 2/3 of the challenge was done. I felt stronger than before. I looked at the calendar. Only 10 days left. I will finish this, I said with a smile. I made new goals for the last 10 days. Speak in a video, ask a question in class, and teach one English sentence to someone else. That night, I sat on the rooftop and looked at the stars. I felt peaceful. You're doing well, Amina, I whispered. My English wasn't perfect, but it was mine. I was not afraid to use it anymore. I thought about the quiet girl I used to be, the girl who stayed silent because of fear. I was not that girl now. And so, with a hopeful heart, I ended day 20. I closed my journal, ready for the final part of my challenge. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew one thing. I was finding my voice, and it was strong. Chapter 3. The last 10 days, I opened my notebook to day 21. Just 10 more days to go. I sat on my bed and stared at the page for a few seconds. Then I wrote in big letters, I will finish strong. I read it out loud, slowly. I will finish strong. I smiled, even though I felt a little nervous. These last days were important. I didn't want to waste them. Ali knocked on my door. Do you want tea? He asked. I said, yes, thank you. Then I added, let's talk in English. He looked at me and laughed. Okay, but only if I get a prize for trying. We sat in the kitchen and spoke simple English. This tea is hot, he said. I replied, yes, it's too hot for summer. We both laughed. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And real English made me feel real confidence. On day 22, I tried something brave. I recorded a video of myself speaking English. I sat in front of the window, took a deep breath, and pressed record. Hello, my name is Amina. This is my English speaking video. I am learning English every day. I like English because it helps me feel free. Thank you. After I stopped the recording, I watched it again. My voice was not very clear, but it was my voice. I didn't delete the video. I saved it with the name Day 22, Brave Me. I showed the video to Hira the next day. She said, wow, you really did it. I smiled and said, yes. And now it's your turn. She nodded. Okay, let's do this together. We made a new plan. Every day for the next 5 days, we would each record one video. It could be short, but it had to be in English. We named it our mini speaking marathon. Day 23. I talked about my favorite food, biryani. I like biryani because it is spicy and full of taste, I said into the camera. Day 24. I described my room. There is a bed, a small table, a bookshelf, and a mirror. Day 25. I shared my morning routine. I wake up at 7 a.m., wash my face, and study English. Day 26. I read a small story out loud with expression. Day 27. I shared my feelings. I feel more confident now. I am not afraid like before. By day 27, I had 5 short videos. Each one made me smile. I didn't sound like a native speaker, but I sounded like myself, trying, growing, and believing. On day 28, something surprising happened. Our teacher asked a question in class. Can anyone explain this in English? No one raised their hand. I felt nervous, but then I lifted my hand slowly. My heart was beating fast. The teacher called my name. I stood up and said, I will try. I explained the answer in simple English. My voice shook at first, but I kept going. When I finished, the teacher smiled and said, good effort, Amina. My classmates clapped. I sat down a little dizzy, but very happy. Later that day, I wrote in my journal, this is what confidence feels like. Not being perfect, but being brave. I saw Ali watching cartoons. I sat next to him and said, let me teach you 5 English words. He rolled his eyes but smiled. Okay, let's go. I taught him table, chair, fan, book, and smile. He repeated after me. Book, smile. Then he asked, now you feel like a teacher? I said, yes. A small one. We both laughed. That night, I had looked at the moon. It was round and beautiful. I said to myself, tomorrow is the last day, just one more step. Then came day 30. I woke up early. My heart felt full. I didn't feel nervous or scared. I felt proud. I looked at my notebook. Every page was full of practice, progress, and power. I made a cup of tea, sat at the table, and wrote one last journal entry. Day 30. I did it. At school, Hira gave me a small card. On it, she had written, "To Amina, the bravest English learner I know." My eyes got wet. I hugged her and said, "Thank you so much." In the evening, I made my final video. I wore my favorite scarf. I smiled into the camera. Hello, today is day 30. I have learned so much. I feel more confident in English. I can speak, I can write, I can teach. I am still learning, but I am not afraid. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. I ended the video with one line. Simple steps. Big change. I uploaded the video privately and saved it forever. Before going to sleep, I sat on my bed and whispered to myself, "You did it, Amina. You finished what you started." I turned off the light with a peaceful heart. The challenge was over, but the journey would always continue.